we had already connected, so we're
Good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing today on Wonderful Wednesday? I am Chris Berryman, Coalition Builder and founder of Bringing Humanity Together. Welcome, everyone, to our Bringing Humanity Together live stream. This is one of three open forums under the Bringing Humanity Together umbrella where people discuss topics related to the workplace, humanity in the workplace, in a very positive and constructive way. We want to know what the issues that are out there that are facing people today because it is our goal and our mission and purpose to both work with employers and employees to bring humanity back into the workforce. And as always, we'll be going live every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all at 3 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. Just remember, we have a 15-minute meet and greet from 2:45 to 3 in all three calls. Feel free to invite your friends, family, co-workers, fur babies. Bring them all. We would love to have them here on this call, on every call that we have every week. And if you'd like to be able to share this live episode, please share this post, whether it be on YouTube or also on LinkedIn Live, and share with your friends and family, and even watch the replay later if you can't be able to watch today or can be on. Uh, Remember, every Tuesday, Share and Care and Candy is hosted by Sandy Turnoff. I host Conversation for Humanity on Wednesday, and as always, on Thursday, Carl Finnegan hosts Humanity Happy Hour. And as you jump on, whether it be on YouTube or on our LinkedIn Live, uh, feel free to comment in the chat box or comment box and let us know where you're watching from and everything like that. And if you have any questions, concerns, comments, please throw those ideas out there too as well. We would love to be able to have a grand one-on-one conversation with you as well. And just to let you guys know, if you guys want to join on our live stream, I'll post a link in both our YouTube channel and our LinkedIn Live, and you guys can be able to join in at your convenience. And we have up to 6 people that we can join on. So we'll probably rotate people in and out. We get a lot of people in and everything like that because we like to have a lot of great people to be involved in the conversation today. So, hello, ladies. How are you doing today on Wonderful Wednesday?
Hey, we're doing good. I had to cover up my fur baby.
Was he cold?
Well, he has his bed next in my office, and he will like exhaust himself trying to get underneath his blanket. I think he's a hermit, and so I just cover him up, and he goes right underneath it, and I just cover him up, and he curls up in a little ball, and he's good to go. The FedEx guy's already here today, so no barking.
Well, you know, Cosmos, one of the many official Bringing Humanity Together fur babies. Cosmo is an amazing dog. I swear, he is just a love of fluff.
okay, fair enough. Looks like my daughter's dog, because that's exactly what Apple is.
Apple? Oh my God.
Ball of
That's
fluff.
amazing. She is so tiny, though.
I know. You can hold her in your hand.
I don't know if you saw my social media post, but I think it was Sunday night. We were sitting on the couch, and all of a sudden, Cosmo looks at the fireplace, the mantle, and he starts to bark. You're like, what? And I'm like, what are you looking at? And I looked up there, and he's staring at somebody had given us this ceramic dog. It was a beagle, and it's sitting on our fireplace on the shelf. And he was staring at it. And I took it down. He thought it was another dog.
Of course.
And I took it down and I put it on the floor, and he's like doing this, trying to play with it, sniffing it like it's another dog. We were laughing. And it reminded me, I took him out for a walk, and there's some people in my neighborhood that have some ceramic or some sort of a, resin, whatever, dogs on their front porch. And he would not walk by their house. And I figured out that he was looking at the ceramic dog. So I had to pick him up and take him over there and let him sniff him. So he would walk past their house. He's a goofball.
He didn't know what he was going to do with it. I even saw the picture, too. And he was like, is this a dog, really?
Yeah. Never a dull moment with him.
They smell everything. I mean, dogs smell everything.
We don't go for walks. We sniff the whole neighborhood. Yeah. So, yeah, I decided I was going to up my step count. And I decided that I couldn't depend on the dog walks to do it because sometimes he'll get down to my neighbor's house and decide he wants to turn around and come home. Well, I have to put dog walks like as a supplement to my walking. Otherwise, it'll never get done.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wear my Fitbit all day because I go up and down stairs and I walk around in the house. And then, like this afternoon, maybe Yale and I will go for a walk. It's not raining right now. So, and Yale has a pedometer that he just keeps in his pocket. But I have my Fitbit. See?
Yeah, I'm at 1,294 steps, and I thought I'd get in the rest of the golf course today, but it's sprinkling and rain is coming, so I don't know how that's going to work today.
What it's reading me now is I've gone up and down stairs 4 times.
But at least it's not hot at your house anymore.
Well, it's a little warmer today, but you know what? It's been so cold the last 2 days. I actually put my furnace on. I actually put heat on because it was so cold. Last night we actually slept with a quilt on. Normally I pull them all off and put them on the floor, but last night we actually slept with the quilt. And I went to book club last night, and I didn't come home till about 9:30. And we usually go to bed shortly after 9, so Yale was already in bed when I came home. But I woke him up because, the security system buzzes and, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I woke him up. I apologized. But, yeah. So
how was book club?
It was fun because we went to somebody's house this time, Carla. I
remember you were saying you were going to somebody's house.
So I drove, and one of my girlfriends came over here and drove over here. She lives on the other side of the golf course. And then another woman who lives in the same complex as I do, she walked over. So the 3 of us got in the car, and then we went to another gal's house because Sharon was she was feeling a little bit dizzy. She had some kind of a medical procedure, and so she didn't want to drive. So we went and picked her up, and then we went to Arlene's, and there were about 10 of us last night. And the gal who did the book report, because we take turns doing the reports, did a really good job. It was a book that was about these kids from Britain who were sent to Canada and to Australia and to South Africa because they were living on the street or because their parents couldn't afford to take care of them anymore. And so they were sent out to farms and stuff, and they were like slaves. By and large, they weren't treated very well. Some of them were beaten. Some of the girls were raped. A couple of the guys were stabbed with a pitchfork. So some of the kids actually committed suicide. And
this was a nonfiction. This actually happened.
This is actually truth. Oh. And so the gal who did the book report, Sherry, did a really good research. She went to some different websites and she did some really good stuff. Hi, Lisa.
Hey, Lisa.
And it was a very disturbing book, but it's true. And there were thousands of these kids that were sent to Canada and Australia and South Africa. Thousands. Literally thousands. Yeah.
What's the name of the book?
It was called Home Children. And they were in like in an orphanage or something, or else they were just picked up off the streets in London and sent away. They were promised they were going to have a better life. Some of them did end up having a better life in the end, but a lot of them were just, they were either housemaids or they had to milk cows and clean the barn, do all kinds of things. That was a lot of hard work. And a lot of them just slept in the barn with the animals, it wasn't nice. And the ones they sort of focused on in this book were a group of kids that one of them was a brother and sister, and then other ones were just, they sort of made their own little family, if you will, just to support one another. And the sister, the place that she went to, the husband there raped her and got her pregnant, and she committed suicide. She hung herself. But she made her friend Winnie promise her that she would find the baby and adopt it. And she did. She found the baby and she adopted it, and she ended up marrying the brother. So they brought this kid up as their own, and the kid looked like the brother. So it was kind of cool. But one of this guy's friends, the farm that they were on, the guy stabbed them with a pitchfork, and they actually took him to a doctor, and the doctor tried to help him, but he died anyway. Yeah, I mean, just some really terrible stories. Really, really sad stuff. And so, yeah, but it was, I mean, we always have fun. I told you these women are all pretty smart, and several of them are former teachers. And it was just fun to be together. I mean, it's one thing to do it on Zoom, but it's another thing
Michigan homeowners, if you're
to be sitting together.
What is
It was nice. It was
That's good. I'm glad you got to get out and interact
Yeah.
with other people.
Yeah. It was fun. We always, I mean, I hate missing my book club because it's always so interesting. The discussions are always very good. And, you know, that's why. And the next book we're reading it's called The Girl with the Louding Voice. It's about an African girl who her father forced her to marry an old guy who raped her regularly. I mean, it was just, until she finally ran away. And then she ended up in another house where she was a housemaid, and the woman in that house, who they called Big Mama, beat her. And the husband also tried to rape her. He didn't succeed, but he tried to. And the girl that was there before her, he did rape her, and she got pregnant. She ran away. They don't know exactly where she ended up or what happened to her, but she ultimately ran away. And
how do you all choose your books?
well, what we do, Carla, is we have at the end of the year, we have a meeting, and it used to be a dinner, but we haven't
There
done
are
that.
two types of mindset we can cultivate.
And then what we do is everybody brings 2 or 3 suggestions of books that we might want to read, and you give a little summary of what the book is like. And then one of the gals, she makes a list, and we circulate the list, and you get to choose 6 books. So the 6 books that have the most votes, if you will, are the books that we read. But what Sherry does is she sends us the entire list. So if there were books on the list that didn't get chosen to be part of book club for next year, you can still have the titles. And if you want to read them, yeah. So, and most of us have Kindles now. I just put them all on my Kindle.
Yeah, I tend to do that too. But sometimes, I just want to have a book to hold.
Yeah.
On,
That's fine. But it's just,
I don't, I mean, I would probably end up doing it on my phone. I mean, I have an iPad, but my husband uses the iPad and I don't. I actually bought it several years ago, and so he uses the iPad instead of a laptop, and I just want to read it on my phone. So a lot of times I'll just get the book.
Yeah. Well, it's just, as I said, it's a very interesting group of women. And the discussions are always pretty animated. And Sherry did a really good job because she went to a lot of different websites about this, and there are interviews from the people who survived this and their offspring and their families, and she really delved into it. She did a really good job. So
wow, nice.
Fun. And one of the things we decided last night, we don't know if it's going to happen, but we're going to make a suggestion that it should be part of the Canadian curriculum. People should know about this because none of us knew about this. And as part of our Canadian history, it should probably be part of the school system. People should know that this is something that went on.
Yeah.
So, the slavery in the southern part of the United States. This was slavery in Canada and Australia and South Africa.
How long ago did this happen?
Well, it started in the 1800s, but ended in 1967, Carla. So I mean, it went on for a long time. So kind of interesting.
Almost 100 years, yeah. Wow.
So but I mean, it was part of our history that most of us in the group had known nothing about.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
well, I think when it comes to our history, we need to know the good and the bad.
Exactly. Well, and the other thing here is, we have all this Indigenous stuff, and there were a couple of governments here in Canada where they took the kids away from their family and they put them into these schools, and they were run by the Catholic Church. And again, these kids were beaten and they weren't fed properly, and a lot of them ran away and got killed, and so they've now been finding these graveyards with hundreds of kids buried in. So it's been terrible. And so, and the Indigenous communities, of course, are all up in arms. But what they were trying to do was they were trying to remove anything that was indigenous culture. They wanted them to just become normal Canadians, whatever the hell that means. Well, I'm sorry, why would you do that? Why would you take them from their families and make them not speak their language or, have anything to do with their culture? I'm sorry, it's just wrong. I don't know what men were thinking of, seriously. But again, this was a long time ago. And but I mean, we have a few of these schools in BC. We had them all over the place. And it was just, they were terrible. They were just really awful. So sad that,
that was a tough book to read.
Yeah.
Very tough.
But it was,
sounds like it.
But it was interesting. And this one that I'm just finished reading, the girl with the louding voice, this is also about African kids and, what happened to some of them because of culture and because of what happens. And I mean, we have quite an animated discussion when we're deciding which books to read, and we don't always read fiction. Some of these books are true. And and it's good. We usually have a mix, but most of the books we've read have been pretty good and well written. And
I don't think I've ever been part of a book club. I know that in my work group, we'll read a book like World of Change or whatever, but or something kind of business, personal development related.
Mm-hmm.
But,
I was in a book club a few years ago, and I really enjoyed it.
Nice.
I find I read a couple of pages and then I fall asleep with the book, and then I end up backing up the page to figure out what it was that I read and read two more. It's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
If it's a good enough book, I could stay up all night reading a book. It's like one more chapter.
Yeah. Well, I've been known to do that too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't usually read before I go to bed because I would fall asleep too. I will read in the afternoon, or like sometimes when Yale comes home, we both sit in the den and he's reading a book and I'm reading a book. It's just
sleep.
Yeah. Well, he sometimes does.
Yeah.
But I don't in the afternoon, but I would at night. And but I read all the time. I mean, I don't, like, if I have an appointment somewhere, I take my Kindle with me, because when I'm waiting to go in for the appointment, you're sitting there, what are you gonna do, twiddle your thumbs? So I take my book.
Well, I'm usually checking social media.
Okay, well, I'm not big on that, Carl. I mean, I do have.
Well, I do it more for my business than anything else. And, catching up with people on LinkedIn and keeping conversations going and social media conversations going and answering questions. And
I do that every morning. That's usually, I get on the computer and I answer emails and I reply to things from LinkedIn and so on and so forth. I do it every morning, and sometimes in the afternoon if we don't go out somewhere. But I don't do it on my phone. I do it on my desktop.
Yeah.
I don't like typing on my phone. I find
that the LinkedIn desktop is just too overwhelming. Stuff is kind of everywhere. Whereas if I'm looking at it in my phone, only my messages are on the phone. Only someone's particular page is here. I don't have a message popping up over here from LinkedIn.
Fair enough.
So it works out easier for me.
Okay.
So,
what you got? Alrighty, ladies, let's get rocking and rolling today again about growth. And of course, we love this guy because he's a great not only leader in his own right, but he's a great motivational person that I definitely would like to meet him. I really would. And in fact, he has a center in Carla's church there in Georgia. Of course, it's the John C. Maxwell Center, if I'm correct. And this guy, he always nails it out of the park. So what we're going to be talking about today is this actually going to be a 3-parter. So it's going to be 3 parts that we'll talk about today, and then tomorrow on Humanity Happy Hour call, or take the other 3. And what we're talking about today is growth, and it's an acronym. And today we're going to be talking to the GRO on the download, as they say. And give them a growth environment. And this is what he says in his video with that. So let me pull up the video from John C. Maxwell because this is truly amazing.
I've met him, Chris, because he came to Vancouver and spoke at a conference that I was at. And that's the first book I bought from him, and he signed it. But I had a little conversation with him.
Oh, you're so fortunate, Sandy.
Well, he's an amazing man. I mean,
Yes.
he really is. And I told him how wonderful his presentation was and how interesting his approach is. And I told him that, I wanted to buy his book and that I was going to read it. And he said,
I'm going to just give you a very simple outline off of that, of how.
All right. What do you say, Sandy?
Well, he's so interesting, Chris, and he's also a very nice man. I mean, he really is. So I had a nice little conversation with him and told him that I was really enjoying his presentation and really felt that the things that he had to say about leadership and this kind of thing were really, really good, because he's coming from a lot of experience, and the things that he tells us and the things that are in his book are terrific. I mean, they really, really are. So yeah, I was very fortunate to be able to meet him.
He would be one of those people that you would love to go to a dinner party with, and you could just talk to him all night long.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I talked to him at the break. We just had a little conversation at the break. So
That's awesome.
yeah, I enjoyed it.
So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the first three parts of growth, that, like I said, the GRO, and we're going to be talking to that. So let me play the first one here from John C. Maxwell.
Okay, go.
Let's take the word growth. 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 I'm going to just give you a very simple outline off of that, of how we position players well. The letter G, give them a growth environment.
Now, the thing that I truly believe, and I've said this on many calls that we've had to many people, is if we can create better environments, we can get better results. So when it comes from a growth dynamic place, how does that show up to us, and how can we as leaders give that to people in every level at any organization on this planet, and how can that occur for us? So I will start with you, Lisa. What does that mean to you when you hear that from John C. Maxwell?
So give them a growth environment. To me, that is opening up the doors for them to be who they are, and give them the opportunity to be able to learn and use the skills that they've learned. But really, more than anything, it's being able to be who they are.
Well, it's also part of the culture, Chris, when we talk about support. That's the piece that is the support, where you can offer people the opportunity to enhance the skills they have or upgrade them and to learn new skills. And that's that growth environment. I mean, you give those opportunities to people, well, they're going to grow. And if they grow, their self-esteem will rise and their self-confidence will rise. So they will work better. It's just a matter of bringing that in to your organization and giving them the opportunity to have that growth environment. And so whether you bring in an outside facilitator or, you do it yourself or whatever, it doesn't really matter, but give them the opportunity to continue to grow, because then they'll be more engaged, because we'll give them other challenges. It'll give them some new things to try, and, maybe even down the road, depending on what the skills are they've gained, maybe they'll get a promotion. It's just, there's all kinds of advantages to having that support part of your culture and giving people the opportunity to grow. And yes, to be themselves for sure, Lisa, but also to, offer themselves some new opportunities, because that keeps people engaged. Always doing the same thing over and over again every day is a little boring. But if you get some new responsibilities, if you will, then it keeps them engaged, keeps them coming back.
I think it starts with being able to be who we are, who each individual is, because if you feel confident or feel safe, if you will, to be who you are, then you're going to seek out opportunities. You're going to, like Sandy said, be more engaged. And so I think that's just starting. You have to be able to be who you are so that you feel confident to be able to speak your mind, say your truth, and also seek out opportunities that you may not have experience or knowledge in. And so I think it just starts there. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I think we need to foster that environment. And what I see is like a friend of mine who had the ability to do more. She wanted to do more. And hey, I can help with this. Hey, I can help with that. I'm bored at what you're giving me to do. I want more to do. I want more challenges. I'm capable of doing this. Well, no, don't help somebody else over there with their job because that's not your job. Well, I'm offering help because I'm free to help them. No, don't help them, And long story short, she ended up saying, look, if you're not going to allow me the opportunity to grow, you're not going to give me other opportunities to advance and improve, show my worth in the company and just stick me in this wonderful job. I'm walking with my feet changing jobs next week.
Yeah.
She said that, forget it,
Well, and the more we do that as leaders, the less people are going to volunteer to help, right? So it's not a good way to have an environment. It's important to allow people to help, and because that's how you learn, by doing.
Right.
Well,
you're shutting them down. When she was in healthcare, that if she didn't have any clients or anything, or maybe somebody canceled, whatever, she would help other people in processing instruments, or she'd go up front and help with charts. And it goes the other way. You could say, somebody goes, oh, that's pretty interesting what you do, and you could go, hey, well, yeah, you want to learn how to do it?
Mm-hmm.
And show them how to do it, because that way they feel like they can pitch in whenever it is needed to do that and feel more a part of a team, rather than somebody telling them that's not your job.
Well, that's why cross training is so good, Carla. That's, and especially if someone's away, and so there's a hole in the team at the moment. And if people know how to do the different things, well, somebody else can pitch in because they know what to do. It's, again, it's not rocket science. This is how to run a good and efficient and effective team. And, when you're part of a team, what's wrong with knowing what some of the other people do? Because there, as you say, there may be an opportunity where you have some time, and so you can help out. I mean, I told you, in the dental office, we did a lot of cross training. So
what a lot of people will do is cross-train, but not recognize people for being willing to learn other parts of the job. And so the next thing you know, they find out that they're being used and underappreciated. So they're like, why in the hell am I doing this? Nobody gives two flips about what I'm doing and that I'm helping out. It's not that everybody's walking around with like, hey, I'm going to pat myself on the back, or I want this constant recognition. People need to be recognized for being part of a team, and whether it's a soccer team, hey, you did a great job at defense, or you did a great job at forward, and what about our goalkeeper, and it's all supporting one another. But when people feel used, they're going to walk with their feet.
Yep.
Exactly.
Right. Well, what also I want to bring to the table has just been mentioned by one of our newest members of our team, Stephen Bridges, and he says these two things. And I want to, Stephen, if you're watching, we got to know this. Number one, evidently John C. Maxwell ran him off the stage in Pensacola. How that happened, I will never. He evidently, Stephen was at a John C. Maxwell event, maybe, and he ran him off the stage in Pensacola.
Wow.
I don't know how that happened, but Stephen, you got to let us know on that. And then the other one, and I truly believe in this too as well, giving a gift of options. To me, that goes right about to choice. It doesn't really matter which way you use it as far as wording is concerned, choice options. It doesn't really matter. You're giving them that opportunity to choose and decide which way they want to go. And so what we're going to be talking about next is this is number
R.
2 here, is recognize each person's growth needs. And this is what John C. Maxwell says about that when it comes to growth needs.
Just very simply, place them in an environment where they can grow and where they can develop. And by the way, when you're developing leaders, give them room because they want that. The letter R, recognize each person's growth needs. One of the things I do, this is a practical, simple thing. You can do this also, is usually in December, I'll take my inner circle and I'll just basically send them out a notice and say, okay, we're getting ready for a new year. Would you share with me the 2 areas as you approach the new year that you would like to develop and grow and get better in? And they share them with me. And then I sit down with them and I say, okay, those 2 areas, I mean, one of the areas that Mark's had for the last couple of years is learning how to communicate better and develop his communication skills. So what I do is I ask them, what are the areas that you're interested in growth in? Because if they can give me areas in the business they're interested in, they're growing in, and I can see how it fits. Do you see how that feeds it? Because I'm now meeting a need that they have. They say, oh, I want to grow in this area. Well, let me help you in that area. Let me mentor you there.
Now, isn't that powerful?
Yeah.
Very powerful.
What's
It
your
also,
thoughts on that,
makes
Carla?
perfect sense, Chris, because then he found out what they were looking for, and then he can help them with what they're looking for, and that's perfect.
And that goes back to meeting them where they're at.
Exactly.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Meeting them where they're at. Not making them come to where you are, but meeting them where you are.
again, it's not about you, the leader. I'm sorry. It's about your people. And you've got to listen to them and find out what they're looking for and what matters to them. And in areas that they want to grow, well, give them the support they need, because then they're going to stick around.
Right.
Because we've said this over and over. Turnover is very expensive. So, we don't want to be having, people leaving in droves, because it's a real pain in the neck. It's a pain in the neck for the people that have stayed, and it's a pain in the neck for Lisa because HR has to hire. And it's just you don't want to do that. You want to keep your people, and you want to keep them engaged and connected and happy with what they're doing. And if they're not going anywhere.
Right.
Engaged, happy workers are going to keep coming to work. Especially if you get
Or
them
even better yet, and I'll go to Carla after I say this, is not only do you keep them engaged and they become better productive people in the organization, but you give them a purpose to such an extent that they themselves can say to themselves, I can be a part of something bigger than of myself. I can do that, and I will do that. And then it's just like the mentality as we all have as parents, that we give our kids the greatest inputs, insights, experience that we have learned in our own right, and kind of give that to them and say, hey, don't make the same mistakes I made and everything like that. So it's almost like when they leave the nest, they can go out and do the things that they were meant to do because we have led them to that point and everything like that.
Well,
So
you've taught them how to be independent, Chris. And if you can do that, then your kids are going to survive. I mean, I told you that's the reason why I had Mark learn all the things that you normally have your daughters learn, because I knew that he was going to be living on his own. And how was he going to take care of himself when his mother is 5,000 miles away? I can't do his laundry from here.
Yeah.
So, it's a matter of, what are you teaching your kids exactly? What are you teaching them?
Right.
Well, in context to that, that's what I was getting ready to finish up saying, is that there's 2 things you can create the environment in. One, you can keep people where they are in the environment that they're in, that they want to stay with that company for 20, 30 years or whatever that might be, because they just love that community of people, that family of people. But then again, if you give them the skill sets, give them the knowledge, give them the insights, they can say, hey, why not take what I've learned and not only pass on what I've learned, but also leave the nest, so to speak, and set on my own path even more so.
Mhm.
And to me, that's truly powerful. That whether it be Carla, Sandy, Patrick, Vicky, Lisa, Stephen, whoever that is in our great team or in any team, to be honest with you, if you give them that for them, it's going to be a beautiful thing. So I'll go to you, Carla. What about that when it comes to the R factor?
Well, I think you need to give people the opportunity to grow and not necessarily just stick with a yearly thing. If somebody comes to you and says, hey, I want to learn more about XYZ, or maybe there's a special conference that they would like to go to that's going to enhance their job, or give them some other area of the organization to learn about, let them go, let them learn. Just don't wait for, hey, here's your yearly review. What are your goals for the year? Be working on that during the year and give people opportunities in the organization to do different things, to grow during the year. Because if you've got somebody that's, they're getting their work done, and they're helping other people, and they're still sitting there twiddling their thumbs, and they go, I need more challenges. Don't sit there and go, oh God, I don't know what to tell you to do, because they're going to walk with their feet and they're going to go do their own thing.
Right. Right. And I think we need to get away from this whole once a year thing. It needs to be more interactive process on a regular basis. As leaders, we shouldn't be going 2 months, 3 months without sitting down with our people and asking them, where are you? What do you need? What can I do to help you?
And I'm glad you just mentioned that, Lisa. I'm glad you mentioned that. There's a friend of mine who works in a restaurant, and he said the last time that they actually had a store meeting, it has been over probably a year and a half, an actual store meeting that everyone can come together, talk, say, hey, this is what I can see, what we can do better. This is what's happening currently, whatever. But you're absolutely right, Lisa and Carla. We got to have that better environment where it fosters to such an extent it almost becomes every day.
Right.
Well, what we did in the dental office? Every morning before we started, we had a little meeting. And it was just a morning huddle, exactly, Carla. Just to sort of check, like, if I was doing a patient after the dentist, what was he doing? I didn't want to, disturb it. Or if he was seeing the patient after me, whatever. And also, if there were issues with certain patients, usually it was run by the receptionist because they know everything that's going on. And we had a monthly staff meeting. Every month we had a staff meeting. And in those meetings, we would discuss different things that maybe we wanted to change or to fix. And if somebody had been to a course, then they would give a short report on the course that they went to, share the information with other people. And if there was a handout, bring it. And if anybody wanted it, then they would photocopy it in the office and give it, to anyone who wanted it. And so we always got together and discussed things. It was a common occurrence that happened on a very regular basis. And, sometimes that was when we did the cross training. And, sometimes they brought in, like a couple times when they would review the CPR, they would bring someone in and we would have a CPR review. And, they bring in a firefighter, whoever. And, different things like this that we would do in the office on a regular basis to keep people on top of things and make sure that they were comfortable with the different things that could happen or were going on in the office and so on. And again, if we got new equipment, well, you brought somebody in to show us how to use it, whatever. It was something that was ongoing, constantly ongoing. And it was good. I mean, I always thought it it was good. I enjoyed it. And I think most of the staff did. I think everybody thought it was very worthwhile and very beneficial. And again, as I said, with this cross training, if you have, because in dentistry, sometimes you have a cancellation, somebody doesn't show up or they cancel late. So then you've got, for me, I'd have an hour with nothing to do. So then you ask, okay, does somebody need some help? Do you need files pulled or do you need files filed? Or do you need me? Would you like me to do some of the recalls? Whatever. Or do people have instruments that needed to be sterilized? Or were there supplies that needed to be ordered? I mean, there are all kinds of things that you can do, and you can walk around and see if anybody needs a hand at anything. And if you know what to do, and because we've been cross-trained in all sorts of things, we knew what to do. So, I mean, I told you sometimes when I was doing charting, it was the dentist that was recording for me.
Yeah. Well, lots of times if you ask somebody at a yearly review, what are your goals? They're going to go, well, I'd really like to do that, but they won't send me to that conference. I'd really love to go learn about XYZ, but I don't even know if there are any conferences out there. And they probably won't send me anyway. They're going to send somebody else that goes every year, and we don't get to go, Like a lot of us want to go to the annual conference, and it was only the selective few that got to go, and there was never a rotational basis to it or anything.
The dental conference was on Carla.
But you're probably not going to let me do anything.
And the whole office went, and the dentist paid for our tuition, and it was a 3-day conference. The whole office went. Everybody went.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine that was in an orthodontic office like that, and that's what they did. I mean, it was always the July weekend, and they would all go and spend the weekend in Florida at this conference, and the dentist would pick the whole thing.
Yeah, the dentist always picked it up. And what was good about the Pacific Dental Conference is they had a huge variety of courses that you could go to. There were some that were sort of aimed at the dentist, but there were courses aimed at hygienists and aimed at the assistants, even aimed at the receptionists. So everybody had somewhere to go to learn about something. And, you also mingle. Plus, they had a big trade show. So you got to see what new stuff was coming out, whether it was materials or equipment or whatever. There was a huge trade show. And so, it was a really, really important conference. And we went every year. I mean, and the dentist picked up the tab for everybody because they can write it off. So, they would just, we're all going. So, make sure you register and we'll pay, whatever. And it was always fun. First of all, it was always fun to see other colleagues. Right. And they always had good speakers. Speakers came from literally all over the world. We had people from Europe that spoke at this conference. We had local people. We had Americans that came in. We had, all kinds of people. I have spoken at that conference many times. And it's fun. I mean, it's just, and you meet people because there's always someone that's going to introduce you. So you have to meet them and they have to get a little information from you so they can. I usually would just write them the intro. Here, I'll write it for you. You can just read it.
Right.
Well, but it's just, I think that, this kind of stuff, this growth thing is very important in any business. And most businesses, like, for example, in the construction industry, they have an organization called the Home Builders Association, okay? And most of the construction companies belong to that. And they put on continuing education courses for them. And I've spoken at those, and that's how I got a lot of my construction clients, actually. But they also have different conferences. And I've gone to some of those conferences just because I know a lot of the people now in the construction business. And I have actually spoken at that big conference too. So it's a matter of, and that gets you out in front of people. It gives you an opportunity for them to hear you and think, oh yeah, I'm going to bring her into my company, whatever, which is what happens. And it also was an opportunity for me to learn more about what they're doing and what they're looking for and so on and so forth. And I used to go to that big conference every year. I would just pay for it myself. It's not that expensive. So I would go. And I still get emails about those conferences. There's one coming up at the end of this month. I think I'll probably go. So it's just, again, it's that support. It's the opportunity to let people grow and give them the opportunity to go to things that they want to go to, Carla. And I would understand why if somebody wants to go to something so they can improve their skills or learn some new ones, why would you not want to let them go? Like to me, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
Because
well, for years, we always had a conference in August, and it was more geared towards the people that were new to reproductive endocrinology. And I had gone to a couple of those throughout the year and throughout the years, and because I did it for 20 years. And I told one of our managers that, this conference is really geared towards new people. So, and I actually turned down going one year, and I said, you know what? I'll have fun, but I've learned a lot of it already. You need to send new people to where they feel more secure in being part of a team and understanding why we do what we do and why the treatment are such. Send the new people, because then they're going to feel great and feel appreciated too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And learn at the same time.
Well, and maybe another suggestion for that conference is to bring in some new information so that people who have been doing this for a long time can learn something new too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. So
Or do another conference that is more advanced.
Yeah, exactly.
right.
Because reproductive endocrinology is not an easy field, and it can be overwhelming. When you're brand new, it can be overwhelming. But then when you go to this conference, all of a sudden the light bulb goes off, and that's exactly what the new people need.
Absolutely. But
because they're going to learn and explain to their patients why they're doing what they're doing.
But also, Carla, for people like you who've been in it for years, if there's new stuff coming out in the field, it'd be good for you to learn about it.
Right.
Having a speaker at that conference or two speakers who can give you some new information, what would be wrong with that?
Right. Well, there's so much basics for people to learn that they do every year, and some of it, they update, but it is more geared towards the basics. And I think they just need to do a whole nother conference myself.
Okay, fair enough.
Right. This is what just was said by Stephen Bridges, our newest team member here, bringing humanity together. He said, I offered a friend today a option. I asked him if he would let me in his plant to give his factory floor free leadership training based off John Maxwell's The 101 books and everything. That is phenomenal, Stephen. That's, to me, that's the gift that keeps on giving, that you're not only planting the seed, you're giving people, again, that choice, that option, that say, hey, this can not only enhance the culture in your organization, but create, again, better environments that will create better results. So I will go to the next one.
I take that a step farther and tell Stephen to contact the John Maxwell organization and become a speaker.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a couple people that I actually know, which I have to probably get back a hold of them, because when I told them about bringing humanity together some time ago, they said, oh, this is perfect. So we just have to go out and talk with those people. But yeah, absolutely, Stephen. Take up on Carl's suggestion there. That would be great. But let's go to this, and it's going to be the last one. And it's going to be, open up opportunities for them to grow, from John C. Maxwell. So here we go with John C. Maxwell on the O in growth.
So, recognize their needs. And the way you do that is just ask them, where do you want to grow? The letter O is open up opportunities for them to grow. Constantly look at ways to open up opportunities for them to grow, to develop, get better. The W.
Nice teachers tomorrow, Chris.
Yeah, the W will be for tomorrow.
W's tomorrow. Yeah.
What can we do, though, when it comes to the O?
Well, that's the support part, Chris. If somebody comes to you and wants to go to a course or a conference, Why would you say no? That's opening the door as an opportunity. Or if there are certain things that people like Lisa look and know that it would be beneficial if everybody learned X, Y, Z, whatever, then you bring in a facilitator to the company, or you rent a room in a hotel and you take them to that room, or if you have a training room in your company, then you bring in a facilitator and you provide them with something that HR thinks is going to be beneficial to everybody. Again, not rocket science, but HR people know, because they know all the people and they know what would be helpful. It's just a matter of opening doors, and you can do that by realizing that there are things that would be beneficial. And so let's bring somebody in to provide you with those specific needs. It's the reason why I always had that discussion interview with a new prospect, because I wanted to find out what they were looking for specifically. And then I would put together the program for them. But it's a matter of, if it's obvious, especially to HR, who knows everything, that it would be helpful for people to have communication skills, or CPR. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is, it doesn't really matter. But to bring somebody in to teach everyone, so that they are getting some new strategies, some new approaches, some new skills that they can then use at work. And again, that's opening doors for people to have new responsibilities and new challenges, new things that they can do. And that keeps people engaged. It gives them new things. Or particularly if you see a need, this would be really beneficial to my people to know how to do this, or to be able to deal with conflict more effectively. It doesn't matter what it is, but just something. And then bring someone in who can provide the strategies and the approaches and the skills, so that they're going to deal with situations that they've been struggling with, or they haven't done a very good job with. And now they're going to have some new skills. And again, as I've mentioned many times, adults learn when they see a need. And if they feel there's a need, and then, as I say, I always got the specific scenarios from the HR manager, and then they see why they're learning this and why it would be beneficial to start using it, they will. Because now they see that these new approaches are going to help them to deal with problems that they haven't had good outcomes from before. And so they will start using it. But that's why it's good to get those scenarios, so that you're using situations that they've not gotten good results from before. And I told you, it always came up to me and goes, "How did you know that?" Well, but it doesn't resonate. I mean, I would always say to HR, I can make stuff up, but if it doesn't resonate with your people, it's not nearly as helpful as something that they know and it didn't work out very well. So it's just much better to have the situations that they're familiar with. Right. And again, this is another opportunity to open a door, Chris. I mean, give them a chance. This is the support part of your culture.
Well, you can do things like that, and just like like you were talking about how you all would have morning meetings. I mean, you could talk about conflict resolution, and that maybe you had we actually had a husband of a client come into our practice and proceed to tell the front desk people that he was going to come blow everybody up. And needless to say, the police showed up really quickly. And at the time, I was in charge of the OSHA safety for the company, and I said, this needs to be addressed. We need to have some sort of an emergency button or something, But anyway, but it's a great idea for during frequent huddles. Don't say you're going to have meetings with an organization or a team and then have one every year and a half. That doesn't foster the team working together and offering opportunities for growth. I mean, in the restaurant industry, there may be people that are just bored to tears, work in the front counter. And they want to learn how to maybe do takeout, or they want to learn how to work the tables, or they want to learn something else, managing stock, or, I have I worked at McDonald's, so I don't know any of that kind of stuff. But people have the desire to want to learn, and we have to open up those opportunities for them. Whether we take the time to teach them ourselves, or we give them the option of going to a course to learn how to do it, or we constantly have opportunities to where everybody can learn what other people do. And if everyone knew what everybody else was doing, that would allow them the opportunity to go, oh, you know, I'd really love to learn more about how the company does social media, or connecting with customers, or customer service, instead of just being an admin assistant. Give them an opportunity to grow.
Exactly. I think that's a big part of it too, is that you give them opportunities to do other things that they maybe have not done before.
But
Right. But this just came up to my head, and it just racked my brain a little bit. So when you think about opening opportunities, think about it this way: 2020 vision. How do you get 2020 vision? You're literally seeing it from two different lenses at the same time. But how do we become clear on that to get that 2020 vision? Is you got to see the path before you to know what's down the path. Because
that was so good, Chris, was that he would ask people what they wanted to learn, or where they wanted to grow or something. I mean, that's perfect, because then you can find out exactly what people want, and then, you know, you can send them, you know, to a specific course. Or there are a lot of online courses, and, you know, for a single, you know, for one person who just wants to do one thing, you can probably send them to that, and, you know, and then they can do it in their own time, and so on and so forth.
And I agree with
you know that this really there's no limit. Everything is on the table.
Yeah.
What would you like to learn?
Right. And see, for me, ladies, I've shared this with people, and I've asked this question: should we actually, again, from what Lisa said earlier about meeting people where they are, should we at least find out what they are truly passionate about? Because, yeah, let's say they might be good in accounting. Great, got it, good. But what if their passion lies in social media? And if that really works for them, again, under the motto of the world that they work under, and they can say, hey, not only can I do your books, I can do your social media. Because to me, this is what my father taught me at a very young age. The more that you're able to be doing something in an organization, the more things that you're willing to learn and do. Not only do you know those things, but you become more valuable to the organization for what you know.
True.
And to me, again, the next currency of humanity is going to be rooted in value, not money. So when people sees that value that you're giving to that organization each and every single day, for the things that you know, and yet the things that you don't know that you want to know or you should know, you want to say, hey, I might be able to be good in accounting, but maybe I want to take my hand in and say, hey, let me do some marketing, sales. Let them say, hey, I want to have that door open for me, and see if we're willing to answer that call from them. I say that should be coming from us as leaders to begin with, anyways, to open up that door. But if they're knocking on our door, we should answer that call and say, hey, let's give them that 2020 vision that they want and are calling for. Because when they see it from those lenses and it's so clear to them, that comes from them and them alone. We can just be that guide on their journey and be able to say, hey, let me help you get you where you want to go and everything like that. Because, see, I truly believe, ladies, the more that we create that environment, not only do we give them an opportunity to learn and to grow from their standpoint, but us as leaders, when we're on that journey with them, we can also learn at the same time.
Exactly.
I think a lot of people have the impression that if somebody wants to do something different in the company, they want to advance in management. And a lot of people don't want the headache of that.
Nope.
Because of the way that the organization is being run, they rather do something else. My stepdaughter, for example, she works for Uline. It's a big distribution company for like paper products and industrial products and things like that. They're huge down here in Georgia and all over the United States. And she knows customer service inside and out and backwards and forwards, and knows every one of the products and details about the products and stuff. But she does not want to go into management. Well, she's got an art background. She's very artistic, very musically inclined. And so they looked at her like she was crazy when she wanted to go into marketing and specialty design. When they were, companies would say, hey, our restaurant has, we want printing done on our bags. We don't know what kind of logo we want. Can you help design something for us? Well, that was right up her alley, because she was so artistically inclined. And she was one of these people that did not want it. I even asked her, well, how come you're not going into management? She's great at it. She goes, I don't want that headache.
Well, to that point, Carla, that's just what came up for me. Can we as leaders recognize that opportunity for them? It's almost like when you go into these hotels, cruise lines, or whatever. More often than not, they will actually do things for you before you even ask it, because it's already done, because they've got it down to a science. They just know what to do and how to do it. But for us as leaders in any organization, can we at least see that opportunity for them and with them to such an extent that they don't have to come to us and say, hey, I like to go into management, or I like to go into accounting, or like whatever it might be. Because to me, number one, if we're not fostering the really truly positive, healthy dynamic of leadership, not management, because see what John C. Maxwell says in the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, that the big myth is leadership and management are one and the same, but technically due to polar opposites of the spectrum. Then I don't even know what
No.
So if we can foster that environment, that it makes leadership true leadership and not necessarily management, people, I truly believe, won't be afraid to say, I don't want to take that jump, don't want to take that hurdle, don't want to have those headaches. But see, at least, again, we're giving them that option to choose. If they choose that they don't want management, that's fine. I'm okay with that. But at least I gave them that choice and planted that seed for them. So if they want to take it and run with it, great. Love to have that. But if we don't foster that environment that creates that growth, driving potential, just like what Carla said many times on these calls, is about survival. It's those survival needs. Why do people just want to survive in an organization just to keep their head above water and not even to a point? And what was it, Carla? What Brian said? How many percent of Americans actually was enough not to survive?
Well, I read 15% of people are satisfied with their job and engaged in their job. The other 85 don't like their job.
Wow.
So of a party of 100 people, 15 people actually like their job, and the other 85 want to stay at the party and not go to work, But, there's been people that I've tried to connect with that are like, okay, I'm off on Wednesday. They're in nursing. I'm off on Wednesday for sure. I'm definitely taking Wednesday off, come hell or high water. And we can talk on Wednesday, and Wednesday comes and they're not on the call. And it's like, I hope you're okay. I guess the creek rose. And I'm like, when are you going to put your foot down? That there's life outside of
Work.
what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And look at the organizations that you're working with, There's a huge shortage of nurses right now for various reasons. They're just fed up. and they don't feel like anybody's listening to them. So that just the importance of this group. You've got to bring these people to the table and change the work environment.
Mm-hmm.
And the
For
culture.
sure.
Yep.
Lisa?
Yeah, no, I agree. There's a lot of things that we need to do to make sure that we're, engaging people, getting people engaged, giving them the opportunity to learn and grow and keep that growth mindset alive.
Right. So I want to ask all of you, as leaders that we are, should we embrace a abundance mindset for our organizations today? Or should we go down the road of scarcity and do the things and say, hey, oh, we're too afraid to do this, it's already been done, or no, you can't do that. Which way would be the better environment to grow and thrive in, abundance or scarcity?
Abundance.
Because it
I
offers
don't care
more.
whether it's work or your personal life, abundance always wins out.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Sandy?
Oh, absolutely, Chris. I mean, if you're working on scarcity, you're going to lose people because there won't be enough for them to try to challenge themselves with, and you'll lose their engagement. And once they disengage, they're probably going to walk. It's just, and I think that when people are given the opportunity to expand their knowledge and learn how to do some other things, it makes their job more interesting, because otherwise you're a robot, and you're just always doing exactly the same thing over and over and over in exactly the same way. It's friggin' boring. I'm sorry. And it doesn't make your job much fun. It's much more interesting to be learning some new things and expanding your responsibilities so that, oh, tomorrow I get to do this because I've never done that before. Oh, that's going to be cool, whatever. So it's just a matter of you open out those doors so that people can learn how to do things better or learn some new things to do. Then you're going to keep them, because as they grow and get to do new things, then they're going to stay engaged. And that's what you want. You want engaged employees.
Right. So,
Not robots.
Well,
like
you
I've
want
said,
people to like to come to work.
right? And what I've said many times is that everything is interconnected to each other. So what I'm now thinking of too as well is the law of empowerment. How do we really empower people to such an extent they do want to take that step up and go to that next level? They do want to be able to say, hey, I might be doing your books today, but I want to be doing social media tomorrow. I like to be able to do that.
Well, but Chris,
how do we create that, like I said, that empowering environment to be able to empower them?
Well,
It
that's
goes back to the growth acronym. It goes back to fostering that environment and giving them, recognizing opportunities for them to grow and giving them those opportunities to grow.
Exactly.
It's letting go of that power and control. We're going to do it this way and only this way, and that's the only way it's done, because we've always done it that way forever. And I'm the boss.
Yeah.
We need to let go of that and work together as a team.
Well, that's the support part of your culture. If you've got support in your culture, that means you're going to support people to expand their knowledge, learn new things, and let them have fun at work. Because, especially if there's something they want to do and they're excited about it, then why wouldn't you want them to do it? I mean, I just don't understand. And also, we've talked about this before. Just because you do something in this way, it doesn't mean that everybody has to do it that way. If they still can get from A to C in the way that they're doing it, why would you care how they get there? I mean, what difference does it make? As long as the outcome is the same, it doesn't have to be the way you did it.
Right.
And sometimes people that are on the front lines doing the job can find better ways of doing it. And that's why we have to listen, because otherwise you miss opportunities. So why would you squelch things? Why would you, prevent people from doing things that they might want to try? Just doesn't make sense. At least
and it starts from the very top, And it's an expectation for the leaders to have that kind of environment. And it's training. It goes back to training our leaders to ensure that they have the confidence to be able to give their people these opportunities and the growth mindset, to be able to have a growth mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important, Lisa.
It is very important.
Very important aspect of culture.
Yes.
Right. So, ladies, it is now that time for our call to action of today's call. And I will start with none other than our great human development and human investment partner here at Bringing Humanity Together. Lisa, what will be your call to action today?
Really not much different than yesterday. I think we have to focus on ensuring that we have a growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset. Because if we have a growth mindset, we're going to seek out opportunities for growth. We're going to be approaching everything we do with the aspect of growth. And so it not only helps the individual, but it helps the people they interact with, the employees, the team members they work with, the people, their friends, their family. It really is just a great way to enhance your life in general.
Carla?
So a couple of things. I think number one, we need to open up and have a growth mindset in the workplace as an employer. But I think also individually, we all need to adopt a growth mindset as opposed to a fixed mindset. Because if you're working in a work environment that's got a growth environment and you've got a fixed mindset, you've got a conflict, and vice versa. It's got to be in tandem with one another. And I think that people need to speak up and let them know what you want to do. If you happen to see a conference and you want to go to it, bring it up. Explain to your organization, if you need to, the value of you going or somebody else going, because it ends up helping the company. You know, even if it's not something you're going to, but maybe you could just say, hey, I found this conference. It might be great to get some new people to go to this conference. It helps the organization, and in turn, it helps you because everybody's working better together. But speak up. Let people know what your goals are and that you want to do new things. And that comes with that growth mindset that you're going to adopt individually.
Sandy?
Well, I think if the growth mindset is encouraged through the culture and people are given the opportunities to go to conferences and to take training and courses and things that they would like to learn, then I think that you have a far better chance of people actually doing that growth thing. And again, it's not enough to talk the talk, you got to walk the walk. And even the leaders should be going to courses and improving their leadership skills and so on and so forth. But it's a matter of, especially if you're listening to your employees, and if somebody wants to learn something, why would you stop them? I mean, you know, it's only going to be advantageous for them and for the organization and even maybe for their colleagues. So it's a matter of that growth mindset needs to be at every level of the organization. And if it is, then that organization is going to keep moving forward. And it's a really good thing. And it's a healthy thing. Because again, you know, it's good for us to be opening our mind to new ideas and new approaches and new ways of doing things. And to keep learning. I mean, it's something that we should do our whole lives. And those that do have a richer life. And those that don't, I'm sorry, they're robots. I mean, it's just, you know,
Right.
they really don't have much of a life. And so it's important. And I think, you know, as John Maxwell said, even if you just sit down with some of your people and say, is there something that you would like to learn? Is there something that you would like to expand upon or whatever? Okay, sure, no problem. We'll take care of that for you. They come with a suggestion. I would like to go to this conference. Okay, well, why do you want to go there? Well, because I want to learn this, or I want to see that, or I want to hear this. Okay, sure, no problem. And we'll pay for it. Then they feel valued. You know, because in a way, when you work in an organization, it's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle, you know, and everybody's a piece that fits into the puzzle. So fit in. And if you're not fitting in very well, it's not very comfortable. So it's a matter of how are you fitting in? How is it working for you? And again, if you are valued and appreciated and supported and encouraged, you're going to stick around. I mean, there's just no way that you're walking away from this when you feel that you are supported. And
Right.
it's just a matter of
Great analogy.
from the top. Yeah, it's got to come from the top. And if it does, hey, you're going to have a good culture and you're going to keep your people a long time. And that really matters. Because again, you know, when somebody comes into, it doesn't matter if it's a dental office or a medical office or a store, and there's somebody new at the front desk every single time they come in, that doesn't bode well for the organization, no matter what it is. And it makes people uncomfortable. Whereas instead, if it's somebody and you come in and say, "Hi, Chris, how are you? I haven't seen you for a week. How are you doing?" You know, I mean, how's that going to make you feel, Chris? It's a whole different thing. And it's just a matter of, and that's why customer service is so important. You want your customers and clients to keep coming back. So make them feel good. You know, I mean, the sweetest sound to anyone's ears is their own name. So if they're greeted by their own name, and, you know, if you've learned something about, so Chris, how was your holiday? Did you have a good time?
I sure did.
Yeah. You know, they remembered that too. Oh my God. You know, so it's just a matter of what are you doing? And I think that if you have established and decided that you're going to maintain a good culture for your organization, you're going to be successful. And your people are going to stay with you and they're going to work very hard for you because it matters. And when they feel that like they matter and that the organization matters to them, then we've got a good thing going. But again, you can't just talk the talk. You got to walk the walk. And
Right.
there's got to be action.
Right. And for my call to action, ladies and gentlemen who is watching us today, and again, thank you to our great new team members who actually chimed in with their insights today. Sarah out of the UK. Hello, Sarah. How you doing? And of course, Stephen, who actually, gosh, you had some great nuggets today for everyone. Please, thank you guys for joining us today. I know you couldn't be on the call today, but we'd love to have you on tomorrow's call. But for me, my call to action would be is number one, lead with humanity each and every single day in every way. Just be who you are, not only as a leader, but more importantly, a human being. And two, create those environments that will create better results and meet people where they are. Create those open opportunities to not only learn, but also to grow. Because if you help them grow, you will grow, in which in turn will help everybody at every level of an organization grow. So again, everything is interconnected. And what is our mission statement? If I help you, you help me, then we help we. It's that simple, ladies and gentlemen. So again, thank you for this great and engaging conversations for humanity. If you'd like to get in touch of any one of us, whether it be Carla, Lisa, Sandy, or myself, or anyone else on our team, Stephen, Sarah, let us know and reach out to us. Put it in the YouTube comments or on our LinkedIn live comments. Even if you watch it later on the replay, tell us where you're watching from. Say, hey, I love this so much. I want to reach out to you guys. Please let us know. We'd love to have that great and engaging conversation with you. And tomorrow we'll pick up on the rest of growth with Humanity Happy Hour. It may not be sips and tips, but it'll be something good to grow on.
All right.
I wish you a great conversation. Unfortunately, I won't be there tomorrow, guys.
Well, we'll miss you, Sandy.
Yes, we will.
I'm
We
sorry.
will miss you.
I'm sorry. I have
Have
to
a
go.
great
Yeah, you need to.
I have to go to services.
Have a great day.
Okay. Well, you guys
Alrighty.
do a great
Bye,
evening.
everybody. Have a
Bye-bye,
great day.
everyone.
See you tomorrow.